Ahem. Well, we've been waiting for you. It's about time you clicked on this channel. We're going to read the newspaper to you. Today's issue is February 24th, 1879. General news. Wreck in the Gulf. Jacksonville, Florida, February 23rd. The steamer Belle of Texas, Captain Hemingway, a Mississippi River boat bound from Memphis to this port, was wrecked in a gale near Mosquito Inlet last Wednesday. The captain and crew were saved. The new ship. Philadelphia, February 23rd. The steamer State of California returned at midnight after a successful trial trip. She goes to Oregon in about 10 days. Washington City news. The Indian Territory Bill, Washington, February 22nd. A majority of the House Committee on Territories, after a laborious and thorough investigation, agreed to report against several bills to establish a territorial government in the Indian Territory. They show conclusively that every effort hitherto to transform half-civilized Indians into citizens with the rights of suffrage and individual ownership of lands has ended in the white man getting possession of the lands and the Indian getting out of the way. The transformation must be gradual. The Oklahoma bill conflicts with treaties, and its measures would reduce the tribes in the territory, now fairly prosperous. No, thank you, I never waltz. Ma says if any of the young men want to hug me, they must do it on the sly. She won't have them mussing my dress up and leaving finger marks on my white waist, so long as she does the washing and has to support me. Prurient preaching. Some years ago, a minister in New York City made a great sensation by advertising a sermon to thieves and harlots. The house was crowded, of course, with people who wanted to look at the wicked people, who, for their part, did not come. This kind of prurient interest is easily excited by any discussion of social evils that is trumpeted. Such themes are sure to excite curiosity, whether they be treated in the pulpit, or the daily papers, or the weekly dreadfuls. But the chief purpose of the moral reformer should not be to excite evil curiosity. And Chadbourne, furniture and bedding of every description. First Street between Morrison and Yamhill. Matzah, matzah! For coming Passover, the undersigned take pleasure to state that they are ready to take orders from city and country, which will receive prompt attention. Address or send to Empire Bakery, 42 Washington Street. Murder most foul. A German lady, Mrs. Barbara Hager, aged 55 years, murdered in a most brutal manner at her home near Oregon City. Mr. Hager, in connection with his farm duties, visited this city several times a week and sold sweet cider to his customers. This caused him to be absent from home a great part of the time. On returning home from the city on last Wednesday evening, he found a stranger, comfortably housed in front of a roaring fire, toasting himself with all the dignity of a landlord. When Mr. Hager returned from the barn, the stranger, who occupied the greater portion of the space in front of the fire, paid not the slightest attention to him. Supper was spread, and as the stranger had dined already, the family sat down and finished their supper. Mr. Hager drew his chair up alongside the fire and began to converse with the stranger. He said he was out looking for a farm to purchase, and at the Babb settlement back of Oregon City, he had partially bargained for a ranch. They furnished their guest with a room, and after breakfast, he stepped to the door and, strolling out toward the road, disappeared without even returning thanks. Mr. Hager then left for the city, leaving his wife alone in the house. Mrs. Hager had been washing the dishes, as two had been placed on the shelf and the rest remained in the dishwater. The murderer entered the kitchen and, picking up a hatchet from the back door, killed Mrs. Hager. Diligent search was made for footprints, but none could be found. He did not go west, as his tracks would have shown in the newly plowed field, neither up nor down the road, as no traces could be found, and he would have been seen, so the conclusion was that he went directly to the railroad. The jury, after fully investigating, came to the conclusion that the deceased came to her death from wounds caused by a hatchet, axe, or broadaxe in the hands of some person unknown. Hey, I know you're a busy person, but since you like my channel, please subscribe. Much obliged.